Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Scary TV. Today, we are going to fly into Hollywood and explore some things unexpected on the set as unsuspecting actors try to demonstrate their art to audiences far and wide. Many different actors, actresses, and various other workers in the film industry have come forward with some of the spookiest stories that will chill you to your bone. Today, we will cover the top 10 that we could find. Comment below what you think we will cover, and let's see if we match up. Don't forget to ring that bell and subscribe so you can stay updated on Scary TV. Number 1 starts off with a real bone-chilling trend. Children are frequently memed about as scaring the pants off of their parents in the middle of the night, asking for water or various other things, or just staring at their parents until they wake. Little lovable demons. But the worst kind of ghost, as anyone knows, is a child ghost. After Lambert's move into a new home to escape supernatural activity in Insidious, Renee spots a little ghost boy through the window, dancing to Tiptoe Through the Tulips. Now, this is a spooky scene in the movie, but did you know that filmmakers said that they often felt as though this ghost, little boy, was actually there? In fact, in this particular scene, you can see the ghost boy in the background in multiple scenes, while she was tidying up. One of the scenes, though, while she is tossing clothes into the hamper, was mimicked after one real sighting that some eyewitnesses claimed to have seen on the set, with a ghost little boy staring at the wall. So they decided to include this into the film with the actor Ghost Boy. And man, does it make your heart squeeze, even not knowing the foundations. Movie number 2 was a movie that was one that ended up being so cursed that it was never actually made. Atuk wasn't even supposed to be a scary movie. It was a comedy about an Inuit hunter using traditional techniques to survive in an urban environment. However, after many of the lead actors who had signed to play the role of the main character died prematurely, and before even being able to film, after agreeing to do so, it became rumored that the film was cursed. Some rumors came about that Inuit spirits were angry at the portrayal, and because of this, began killing off actors and other cast members before the film could be made. Phil Hartman was to play a supporting role, but died in a tragic and extremely violent way after being attached to the film. After many attempts and many deaths, it was concluded that the film was not meant to be, and the project was dropped. Number 3 is one that helped shape pop culture in many ways. The infamous Blair Witch Project began to take on a life of its own while being filmed. Largely credited at the beginning of found footage horror movies, the Blair Witch Project is about a group of students who film themselves embarking on a paranormal investigation into some of the local urban legends, including one abandoned house in the nearby forest. The group embark upon the trek towards the woods with a lighthearted atmosphere, eager to get to the bottom of the myths. To help give the feeling of it being even more real, filmmakers let members of the crew improvise a lot of scenes on their own and blasted this across the internet to convince viewers that those in the film were actually dead or missing. This was an excellent ploy, as it pulled in many views and took America by storm. However, it is reported that many members of the crew actually felt a presence in the woods those nights, and often felt cold spots and chills as though they were being stalked by spirits and touched. One member of the crew said that they actually felt a ghost luring them to safety by putting up very cold walls and them following only where it was warm until they were out of the woods. Number 4. Cutting corners is something everyone has heard of and many times falls victim to. Poltergeist was not immune to this. Filmmakers decided to opt to save money on the skeletons and purchase real human skeletons, because apparently that is where we are at in society. Real human skeletons are cheaper than rubber and plastic ones. Now, if you're looking to get cursed, this is a great way to get cursed. I mean, imagine, you're a spirit just chilling in your box in the dirt with Ghost Netflix, and then you get pulled out to be paraded around and used on a prop. I'd be pretty pissed too, and out for blood. Shortly after bringing the skeletons onto the stage, the mechanical clown puppet that was designed for strangulation came to life and began actually strangling the actor during a take. Steven Spielberg had to jump in and rescue the child actor from the demon device, which left bruises upon the child actor's neck. The malfunctions did not stop there. There were many instances of unidentified noises picked up in the background that needed to be filtered out. 2 cast members of Poltergeist and another 2 from the sequels also faced untimely and strange deaths after finishing the film. Moral of the story, don't wake the dead. Number 5. While filming one of the scariest films to date, The Conjuring, director Corin Hardy said that he encountered two ghosts while filming on location at a fortress in Romania. Corin stated that he had stepped into a room while the cameras were rolling and found two people he assumed were crew members. When the camera stopped rolling, he turned around to comment on the scene to the two he had seen there, and they were gone. The location in Romania was a known haunted fortress that locals had rumored was cursed, and therefore was of course very fitting for The Conjuring to be filmed in. What do you think they were doing? Were they just wanting to get a good view of today's technology? Or were they warning the director to stay away? Number 6. Cult classic The Exorcist is quoted often around American society, especially the famous line, "You're going to need an old priest and a young priest." The little girl in the movie becomes possessed by a demon and does horrible, grotesque things. In fact, The Exorcist has a reputation for being one of the scariest movies of its time, perhaps of all time. There were tons of things, though, that went wrong on set. Malfunctions were causing injuries. Sometimes retakes would take days because of the malfunctions. Actresses were sustaining significant injuries during stunts gone wrong. The filmmakers believed there was a malicious entity taunting them and ruining their attempts at filmmaking. Some even felt like it followed them home and caused mischief in their homes. Some of the biggest evidence of malicious foul play of the paranormal kind was the suspicious fire that caused the entire set to need to be rebuilt. The fire mysteriously left Reagan's room set alone, even though it was in the direct line of fire. Some have even made claims that this movie is evil in itself and evil to play. Religious groups tried to get it banned to prevent spreading more around the world because of it. Have you ever experienced something weird while watching it? Comment below. Number 7 is The Crow. In 1993, Brandon Lee, the son of the late martial arts legend Bruce Lee, died due to a tragic mistake while filming. In the scene in question, a character called Fun Boy shoots Lee's character, Eric, while he's carrying a grocery bag. The gun was meant to be loaded with blanks, and a small squib would detonate in the grocery bag to simulate the action gunshot. Lee was actually shot, though, and died that night. According to reports, no one knows how a real bullet got into the gun in question. Perhaps the strangest part about the death is its uncanny resemblance to a scene from his father's film, The Game of Death. In the scene, Bruce Lee is filming a movie within a movie. He's supposed to be shot to pretend to die of gunshot wounds, but gets hit by a real bullet. Some rumored that Brandon Lee had given away secrets about ancient martial arts, and because of this, had become cursed. Some believed that his death was the curse fulfilling itself. Number 8. Rosemary's Baby is one of the iconic horror films of its time. Filmed in 1968, shortly after the film's release, producer William Castle began to receive hundreds of pieces of hate mail. They were quoted with many obscenities, often. They typically consisted of bastard, believer of witchcraft, worshiper at the shrine of Satanism. My prediction is you will slowly rot during a long and painful illness, which you have brought upon yourself. Around the same time, Castle began experiencing horrible pains. The doctors struggled to understand what was causing the pain, but they could not until he collapsed in October of that year. This happened 4 months after the release of Rosemary's Baby. In 1969, the director Roman Polanski's wife, Sharon Tate, was brutally murdered by followers of Charles Manson. While no motive was ever found, sources link the crime to Rosemary's Baby and the curse it put upon those who developed it. The curse was said to live on as the building of a scene in the movie was also host to John Lennon's murder in 1980. The Last Film is one of the most popular films of its time and has been made into a series and remade. Number 9 is The Scene of the Omen. Bob Munger, advertising executive, had warned producer Harvey Bernhard that making the movie might be dangerous. He wanted us to believe that he thought the devil didn't want us to make the picture, Bernhard said, and that we would have problems. In June 1975, right before production was going to begin, star Gregory Peck's son had committed suicide. In the first film, there's a particularly haunting zoo scene where Damien unwittingly riles up a whole clan of baboons. A trainer had been brought to set to deal with the animals, but according to Bernhard, he was killed the day after. He was killed by a tiger. He grabbed him by the head and killed him instantly. Another eerie death happened that seemed oddly connected to the film. John Richardson, a special effects guru who had helped orchestrate a scene with a grisly decapitation, got in a horrific car accident. He survived, but his assistant Liz Moore, who was his passenger, had died. She had been decapitated. A nearby sign clocked the distance to a nearby Dutch town, Amen, 66.6 kilometers. Stuntman Alf Joint had gone to work on another project called A Bridge Too Far, where one of his stunts went totally wrong. Instead of jumping from the roof into an airbag below, he seemed to fall suddenly and awkwardly. Later, in the hospital, he claimed he felt like he'd been pushed. What do you think? Curse of the devil or just everyday mischief? Comment down below. Thank you for tuning in to Scary TV. Please like and subscribe so we know to make more like this.